There's never been another you. There's never been another me. We're the only ones. And we were born with the ability to survive and to thrive and to rise above anything that can come our way. And whatever you're going through, that's not who you are. That's not who you are. Who you are is this powerful creator of reality. You know, what seemed to be a really awful, awful thing turns out in the long run to have a bunch of blessings attached to it. But it starts with gratitude. I've got to be in gratitude. You are precious. Can you hear me? You are precious.
I am thrilled to have this next guest. He's like a twin or something. We have so many synchronicities throughout our lives of not exact circumstances, but just ways that we have evolved and lived and learned. He was raised in New Mexico. He lived among the Navajo and the Pueblos. Their spiritual leading helped him to navigate some rough things in his life. He's been a sea captain, an EMT, a wilderness guide. He created Eris Foundation. And he and his wife, lovely wife, Mary, that I got to speak with yesterday, have fed and clothed thousands of poor and homeless and gave bikes to children in Africa. That's right, Bob. That's right. Yes. He's the author of 5 books, Living Free, God's Phone Number, Romancing the Soul, The Layman's Guide to Emergency Medical, and my favorite title is Up She Falls, because I feel like I'm falling every day and I'm hoping it's up. Please welcome Bob Trask. Bob, it's been so long. I'm so glad to see you here and have a conversation in person, kind of.
Thank you, Jannel. This is such a thrill for me to be with you. Such a thrill. Thank you.
You are welcome. So this show is about navigating through life's challenges and using those challenges to really fall up, instead of falling down, use them to fall up. As you say, up she falls. I'm hoping I was your poster child for that book. I'm going to claim I was.
As long as I've known you, you've been falling up, lady.
Well, I try. So, just start from any insights that you've received. I know you have so many, but this show is about offering insights to the public. And we know that not every one of our insights are going to ring true for somebody out there, but there might be something that they can take home and they can use to fall up.
Yeah. I've been really so fortunate in my life, so fortunate. And it's not going to sound like it when I tell you a little bit about my childhood. I never met my father. It's true that I lived among the natives in New Mexico, and I have partial Indian blood myself. And we lived. My stepfather was an a war veteran and an alcoholic, and he was an ex-prize fighter, and he taught me to fight, but he taught me to fight the hard way and by get him up, bud. So I spent most of my young life living in housing projects and fighting, fist fighting. And when I was like 35 years old or so, I was invited, and I'd done a lot in my life by then, and I'd grown a lot. I dropped out of school in the 10th grade. I never went back to school, so I did not have an academic education per se, but was able to have an education on a lot of other levels. And I was invited at that time to go to San Quentin prison to work with prisoners. And it was a really strange thing, because my first day there, I was sitting at a table with five guys, and they came over the loudspeaker and said, everybody take a break. And so I stood up and looked around, and I looked down a little ways from me were all of these Oriental guys, these Asian guys, and beyond them were all these Hispanic guys, and beyond there were all those black guys, and they were like segregated. And I thought, that is so weird. So I thought, well, I'm going to walk down through there. So each time I would walk from one group to the next, these people, the group that I was in, would say, hey, man, you don't want to go there. So I went to the next group. And of course, growing up in New Mexico, a good part of my life, I speak Spanish. So, I got along with going through the Hispanics guys, and they saying, hey, man, you don't want to go there when I got ready to walk into the black guys. But in a housing project, we lived together with all the black people, and I never saw any difference. And so I walked down through there. Hey, how you doing? Okay, how you doing? And this guy said, Trask. And I looked over, and there's a guy, and I knew him from high school. And he said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm a counselor. And he said, no, man, you were worse than any of us. How can you be a counselor? And so he said, wait a minute. And he went over and brought another guy over that I went to school with. And I remembered that night because I was working as a singer, professional singer, and I had a beautiful boat in Sausalito. And I was driving back that night to Sausalito, and I was thinking, how in the hell did I end up not being one of these guys in San Quentin? How did that happen? And part of it happened from my Native American teachings, and part of it happened from my mom, who was an absolutely tough lady. And she would not put up with nonsense. And she insisted that you have respect for yourself and respect for your family, respect for your country, and that you stand by that and you don't get pulled down. And she didn't go easy on me. And I realized, driving back that night, that I had learned some lessons that kept me from going down that path. When I was 14 years old, there was a gang fight, and I hurt some guys in that gang fight, and a couple of them went to the hospital. And so the sheriff came around to arrest me. And in my housing project, if you were arrested, you went to juvie, and if you went from juvie, you went from there to San Quentin. I mean, there was like almost no steps in between, because in juvie you learn to be bad, and you learn to be tough, or you didn't survive. So I signed aboard a tuna clipper out of San Diego, 14 years old, and went to South America on a tuna clipper. On that tuna clipper, I learned to be a man, and they taught me how to be a man. And there's no room for any excuses. You stand your 4 hours at night and 4 hours a day watch, and you fish, and you work your butt off, and you catch fish, and you pass fish, and you clean up, and you do your job. And so I had some breaks. I had some real breaks, and they really helped me live the life that I've lived. Now I'm a teacher, and I teach consciousness, and I've got a few 100,000 graduates in countries around the world, and I'm so deeply honored to be who I am. I just feel so blessed, so blessed.
Well, I'm just amazed that you took the reins at such an early age. A lot of people might have had the same circumstance. Like you said, you didn't end up in San Quentin, but you chose a road to get out of there, and you ended up on a tuna boat, right? And then it taught you how to be a man, that if you had stayed, you might not have learned that. And
Mm.
that, I feel like your story about your mom how she taught you to respect yourself and to value your family and your country. She taught you value. And that tuna boat experience taught you how to put it into real world living. And,
Yes.
you know, it really cemented that idea in you.
Yes. Exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You, I don't know, you know, if this is cool to bring this up, but I know that you had a tragedy in your younger years. Um, I believe you were 11. Is
I
this?
was 15.
Oh, you were 15.
Yeah. On my 15th birthday, I accidentally shot and killed my brother. And that was hard. I was I was in solitary confinement overnight because the way the bullet went in his head, they thought it was an execution, and I had to kind of fight to get myself out of that. But and then um, he was actually my blood brother, and in reality, he was my cousin, but he was my blood brother, and we grew up together. Our families were really close, and so my mother gave me to his family to take Gary's place, and I'll go on with this for a minute. Um, I slept in Gary's bed in Gary's room, and I lived in Gary's house and in Gary's family, and they never they never really forgave me. And so the 2 years that I lived there were were really tough years. But somehow, Jannelle, somehow there is within us a strength. There is within us, and I know that a lot of people don't feel that, but we are not victims. We are not victims. We have the strength and the ability within us. We have that strength. We have that ability. We sometimes all we can do is hang on for another day or another week or another month. But if we hang on and keep looking for ways to laugh, boy, looking for ways to laugh, then the sun comes up. And I tell you that the first 30 years of my life, 35 years of my life were, boy, they were tough. They were really, really tough. And look at me. I'm 86 years old. I'm on top of the world. And that's because I'm not a victim. I've never been a victim. No matter how tough things are, we can never allow ourselves to be victims. If somebody like someone, I'm a minister among other things. I'm a sea captain among other things. I'm a free diver and a scuba diving instructor among other things. But um, I got released from a church because someone in that church said that I had taken money. Now, those who know me know that doesn't happen. I would not be able to live with myself if I took money, and I didn't never would. But the board of directors believed it, and they let me go, and I was shunned and I was disgraced among all those people in that church, and it broke my heart. It just it was like one of the worst things that ever happened to me. And then I thought, while I was bathing in my self pity, Mandela went to prison for 30 or 35 years or something because he was black. Jesus was crucified because he went up against the Jewish religion and taught, a new way. I could go down the line, of all the people who have who have had it really tough, who've really had it tough, way, way, way tougher than I have. And they all came out of it. When Mandela came out of the prison, people said, "Aren't you going to be, aren't you going to be angry at those people that lied about you and got you in prison?" And he said, "No, because if I'm angry with them, I'm still back in prison."
That's so
So,
true.
so, I know that what you do in your work is you help people find ways out of tough situations. I know that's what you do, and I know you're good at that. And and I maybe I can somehow say something here today that will help people see that they're more than their problems. They're way, way, way more than that. They have a power within them. They when we come on this planet as little babies, that's the first time that human being has ever been born. There never will ever be, never has been, out of 108 billion people that have lived on this planet so far, there's never been another you, there's never been another me. We're the only ones. And we were born with the ability to survive and to thrive and to rise above anything that can come our way. I guess I want you to believe that.
I like that.
You viewers, I want you to know that in your heart. There is a thing called consciousness. I don't know if you believe in God or not, it doesn't really matter to me. But there's a thing called consciousness, and the consciousness is the intelligence of all universes. It's the living intelligence. It's a living creative intelligence. It's creating everything. Everything around us is being created. It wasn't once created, it's being created. A mountain's being created, a tree is being created. You and me are being created. And as we're being created by this powerful consciousness, and it's in us, as us, and it's limitless. It's limitless. There's no thing anywhere that you can't do. If you can dream it, you can do it. If you can dream it, you can do it. I know that because my life has been one of miracles. I know if you can dream it, you can do it. But you have to be willing to trust something. Something. You have to be able to trust something bigger than yourself. And that's consciousness. That's that great, powerful, the universe is intelligent. The universe isn't just a bunch of rocks. It's intelligent. And it knows who you are, and it holds you in its joy and in its creation and in its beauty. And you can do anything you want, anything you want.
I love that. That, we're not the story of the sad things. We're more expansive than that. And I feel for me, when something challenging comes along, it's actually an open door for me to go to next steps, to go higher.
Amen.
Instead of viewing it as this awful thing, I'm practicing viewing it as, okay, where can I go now? Where can I stretch? Where's my next step? And using the challenge instead of letting it use me is a different way of looking at it. And I feel like I'm looking at your life and all the different unusual, very unusual challenges that you've had. That you're not everyday man. You've got some unique things that have happened in your life, and that you have been able to open more and more and more, and to continue to expand not just your earthly physical learnings and things, but also expand your knowledge of the universe and your knowledge of how to maneuver in that. It's just really profound how you have allowed that. I think it's an allowing, don't you?
It is, and it's acceptance. Oh my gosh, is it ever acceptance? Like whenever we're in resistance to anything, it owns us. I don't care what it is. When we're in resistance to anything, it owns us. It, the worst kind of thing that can be going on. If you get COVID, and you're in the hospital and you're on a respirator, and things are really bad, the only power you've got is an acceptance. If you resist it, it owns you. You must be willing to be in acceptance, because that's when your power turns on. Can I ask you a question, Jeanette?
Sure.
Janelle, how does love fit into this?
How does love? I feel like it's the foundational connection to us all. For me, um, I I think that even when somebody says something mean to another or does something on purpose to hurt another, that it is an open door for love. It is a chance to grow love deeper.
Wow. Wow.
And I have been working on this personal project, and it is mostly anchored in love, in how the universe is so in love with me. Trying to anchor in that. It's so in love with me that it answers every need, it hears every request, it anticipates what I might need at any moment. And because I've been practicing looking at signs for 15, 16 years, now if I ask a question, seriously, within seconds, somebody will pull in front of me with their car if I'm driving in my car, and the answer will be on their license plate. And a whole conversation will happen where one license plate after another will answer my question, and I'll ask another, and there's another one, and there's another one. And, it just comes from practicing, listening, and observing. And am I always practicing and observing this? No. I'm sometimes in my own head thinking about my own problems, and then I go, wait a minute. I don't have to figure everything out, because I'm taken care of. I'm a daughter of the universe. I'm the only one like me. There's no one ever going to be like me again. So why would I not be taken care of? And my reason for being be important or valuable? And even if I said this earlier today, but even if I'm not the face of the thing, if I'm the little toe of the thing that keeps everyone else from being stubbed, that's my job. And I need to be grateful for my job, because I'm a piece of the whole, and we all are.
When when we talk about love, most people think it has to do with romance or falling in love or whatever. They don't realize that that's actually the power of the universe. But you are an epitome of and practitioner of the law of attraction. The law of attraction says that we are all magnets, and that we attract that which we hold in consciousness. And when we hold, as you said, like just so eloquently, you said, when you're looking for an answer, and you have the question and you're looking for an answer, and there it shows up, and there it shows up, and there it shows up, because you are attracting that. You're a magnet. That's the law of attraction. It works perfectly.
You find what you're looking for.
But you have to do the work.
You do have to do the work, and you have to keep getting back on track of your
Yeah.
focus, and not beat yourself up because you get off track. We're all going to get off track. We all get distracted by the shiny object next to us, or the horrible news story, or this or that, or a way that we feel trapped in a situation. But then we just have to remind ourselves, no, there are answers for me. There are solutions for me and for the world and for all of us.
Yes. Yes. And when you mention the world, like there's a lot of problems with the world, a lot of problems with the government, a lot of problems with leadership. And people think, well, it's just terrible and there's nothing I can do about it. You have your life, dear viewer. You have your life. Nobody else has your life. It's a it's a gift and it's a treasure. If you live your life fully and if you laugh as often as you can, laugh, laugh, laugh as often as you can, and love with your whole heart and your whole mind and your whole body and your whole being, then you will skip like a stone over the top of the worst parts of life.
You're so correct. You're so correct. When certain things were happening in the early part of this year, I felt obsessed to find out about left, right, middle, all of it, obsessed because my parents taught me that if you see a mess, you clean it up. It it doesn't matter if it's your mess. If you have the ability to clean it up and the time, that's your responsibility. Now there
Thank
were
you.
7 kids, so that's what they taught me, and I'm the oldest girl, so they really drilled it into me because I had little brothers and sisters making messes that were no longer in the room, right? But I was. And so that's what I did with missing people. I couldn't find my own sister, but I had a path to learn how to do media and to create tours because I'd been a singer-songwriter. And I thought, well, I can't find my own sister, but maybe I can help the families of the missing feel supported. And that will help me to feel better and also to help them to feel better. And in the process, someone was found. I did not think I could find anyone. I seriously didn't. And so that's why I've been doing it for 25 years because people keep being found. Not my sister, but all these other brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, and uncles and cousins have been found because I said, well, I got to do something. My parents said I got to clean it. I see a mess. I got to clean it up, and I have the ability to do it. My little part of the mess, right? We can only do our part. And so most recently, this is not my interview, but because you opened up this moment for me to talk about this, most recently I had a kid that lived with me. She still lives with me. She's gotten herself into a lot of trouble. She's made a lot of decisions that aren't good. She's very brilliant. She's a brilliant mind. I have a lot of faith in her future, but she's chosen to get herself into trouble here and there. And she was in the process of applying for colleges. And they wanted to know in an essay form what leadership abilities she had and what kind of groups in school that she had led. Well, she said, I haven't led anything. And so she wrote her essay on, I am the leader of my own life. I got
Yeah.
chills. And I have taken that
Yeah.
line to the bank and back 100 times since she said that 6 weeks ago. Because we have leaders that are doing things that we would not teach our children to do, right? We don't want our children to do those. And so it's time for we, the people, the individuals, like you said, to lead our own lives. That's all we can lead, is we can lead our own lives. We can focus on joy. We can focus on laughter. We can focus on being good to our children, teaching our children good habits. We can teach our children to focus on love and beauty and find the beauty in life no matter what's going on. And you just opened the door for me to say all that. Sorry.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And see, here's the thing: is that I took Gary's life. That's the truth. There isn't any way of getting around that. You can't unkill somebody. That's a truth. And I lived with that, and I still live with that daily. And though I don't live with it in agony anymore, because I now know that something really beautiful happened from that. And that's that I've been able to change, touch, uplift hundreds of thousands of lives in many countries around the world because of that day. If it hadn't been for that day, I'd probably be like the rest of the men in my family. I'd probably be a truck driver. But because of that day, I couldn't rest. And the same thing happened to you. When your sister went missing, you came alive. And because of that, you have touched so many lives. And that girl that's living with you, hers is one of those lives. So the what seemed to be a really awful, awful thing turns out in the long run to have a bunch of blessings attached to it.
You're so right. You're so right. So, what can you offer people when they have trouble? They're just kind of drowning in their grief, they're drowning in their sorrow, they're drowning in their loss, or even just in their challenge. Maybe it's not actual loss, but they know they're supposed to do this thing, but it's so hard to get the doors open to do that thing because they don't have the skills or they don't have the understanding of how to get to next steps. What kind of advice would you give them as far as how to live in their heads?
Here is the way forward. And I pray to God that you'll be able to hear me and that you'll be able to make this work for you. We can't get from here to there. If you're thinking about a place you'd like to be in your relationships, like we have these things, we have abundance and prosperity, we have financial abundance, or we don't. Maybe we're just in poverty. We have relationships, loving, kind, flowing relationships, or we don't. We have good health, or we don't. We have a career or a good school that we're going to, or we don't. If we don't, then we see that as a mark on who we are. Listen to me, please. You think that's who you are. You think that's who you are. That becomes your identity. My identity. I was getting lousy grades in school. I was just drowning in my grief and my sorrow over not only me taking Gary's life, but me losing my very best friend in the world. And I mean, I was just in grief, and because I went and lived in his house, I went to his school, and the kids in his school, many of them thought that I had murdered him. I mean, it was an awful kind of thing. It was an awful kind of thing. But that isn't who I was. It was not who I was. And whatever you're going through, that's not who you are. That's not who you are. Who you are is this powerful creator of reality. And the only way you get from the dregs of feeling really bad about yourself and about life, the only way you get out of that, the only way, I promise you, the only way is through gratitude. You have to know, you have to look around and see the things you're grateful for and see and multiply that as much as you can every day, every day. Every day, look at the things that you're grateful for. I mean, who you are, your body, the hands and legs and arms and feet, your health, the times you can laugh, friends that you have. Be grateful, grateful. Because when you're grateful, what happens is that reality begins to open like a flower. It opens, and the more I'm grateful, the more that opens, and the more I have to be grateful for. And then beautiful things start coming my way. Beautiful things start coming my way. And things that I dreamed of that I never thought would happen begin to happen. But it starts with gratitude. I've got to be in gratitude. It's just, I've got to be there. Number one. Number two, you've got to have a vision of what you want. You've got to have a vision. When I was working in prisons, and San Quentin isn't the only prison I worked in, I would say to young guys, these guys are 25 years old, and they killed somebody or whatever. And I'm talking to him, and I said, "What do you want to do with your life? I don't, what is your vision? I don't know. When that crime happened, did you have a vision? If you don't have a vision, then life happens to you instead of you happening to life. You've got to have a vision. You've got to say, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? What do I want to have? And you've got to stand by that. You've got to stand by it. And if that doesn't work out eventually, hey, it following that vision got you to the next level where the next vision comes in. And then following that vision gets you to the next vision. But you've got to have gratitude, and you've got to have a vision, and you've got to own it. And it's got to be a vision that celebrates who you are as this magnificent person. You are precious. Can you hear me? You are precious. You are precious. Maybe somebody dumped you, or somebody insulted you, or somebody like these people in this church, like maybe somebody betrayed you or scandalized you. Those people are small people. That's not who you are. You're not a small person. Those people are maybe mean. You're not mean. You're not small, and you're not mean. That's not who you are. Don't get pulled into their game. Get your vision out ahead of you and make it beautiful. Make it beautiful. Give again, Jeanette. Oh God, Janelle has told us here in such a beautiful way. You've got to give yourself away. You've got to be willing to give yourself away. Who can you love? Who can you touch? Who can you say, you look really nice today? Who can you say that? Just, you look really nice today. Even if you go to a grocery store, can you smile at the checker and say, you look nice today? Can you give something to someone else and be grateful? Oh, we, you're here for a purpose. We couldn't get by without you. You're here for a reason. We need you in this society. We need you in the human family. You are perfect. You're the only one of you that ever will be, ever, ever, ever. And you are precious. And whatever you dream of, you can have. But it's step by step. Be grateful, and be loving, and be grateful, and be loving, and keep your vision alive. And I promise you, I'm talking about a guy who came from hell. I came from hell. I promise you, you can have your dreams. You can be, do, and have whatever you dream of. But you have to do it these steps: gratitude, vision, and love. I hope that helps.
That was beautiful. That made me want to cry for whoever's out there that really needs that. That was special. That was really special.
Thank you.
I have learned over the years to go through every aspect of my life and shine gratitude on it, no matter how painful it was. And then I went to the next step, and I said that all of that was love. All of that was for my betterment. And I would just go through every single thing.
Yes.
And say that was for the love of me. That was for the love of me. Even if at the time it didn't look like it. Somebody goes away because they don't like you anymore, they don't love you anymore, or a situation goes away. I've learned to say, when something goes away, I have a new assignment. Wow, I have a new assignment now. That was my old assignment. I'm done with that one. Now I have a new one.
I love it.
And you are correct. Gratitude just opens doors, and it opens more things to be grateful for.
Amen. And I know that for some of you that are watching, your life is tough, and you might think that we're being a little naive, like when we say you can have it, if you can dream it, you can have it. But believe me, I'm not being naive. Believe me, if it hadn't have been for that hunting accident on my 15th birthday where Gary died, if it hadn't have been me living through the hell that I went through after that, and even before that, in the housing projects with the fights and the hatred and the anger, if I hadn't gone through all of that, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I'd be driving a truck. And nothing wrong with driving a truck, but that's not who I am. This turned out to be my life, being some sort of a guide for people around the world. And I couldn't have gotten here. Janae or Jannel, you couldn't have gotten here. You couldn't have gotten where you are
So
if
true.
it hadn't been for the pain, I mean, the agony, the long, dark nights of the soul, laying at night in the darkness, looking up at the ceiling, going, God, I don't know how I'm going to make it. I do not know how I'm going to even get through this night. I don't know. God, this, I am just done. I am just done. And then you're not done. And then you're not quite done.
No, you're not. You're just opening to a new assignment.
Yes.
For sure.
Janelle, you've been a real inspiration to me. You created a search for your sister that turned out to be a search for other people. And Janelle, you have touched so many lives, and you've touched my life. And I know other people that you and I both know whose lives you've touched, and you've been a blessing.
Well, you have as well. And it just goes on and on with all the things that you've done and what you've opened your mind, heart, and soul to learn and to be and to become. And it's such a blessing for me to be here today with you. And I hope that we can do this again because I feel like you have more to offer, a lot more to offer.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. So
I'm honored that
if
you had me. Thank you.
yes, say that again. I'm sorry, I covered it up.
I'm honored that you had me.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm honored that you are here. And if people want to find out more about your books or Eris or anything that you're doing, they could go to bobtrask.com, correct?
Correct.
Everything's
Correct.
on there,
Yep.
all of your projects. Okay. I want to talk next time. This is a preview, and I'm getting you to commit to next time. I want to talk about how we can teach our children, our young people, to value themselves and to honor themselves so that maybe they can accomplish even more. They
Yes.
can do more. They don't
I
have
look,
to fall into the pits that we fell into.
I look forward to that. I look forward to that. Thank you, Janelle.
All right. Thank you so much, Bob Trask. This has been just a heavenly moment for me. And I just feel such joy just seeing your face.
My sister.
Yes, my brother. All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.